Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Katrina's Creations. This is the last in the playlist, or the series, I guess would be the word for it, of weaving and how to do it, a tutorial. And I have completed an infinity scarf. I did put a twist into it, as you can see. And it is a herringbone pattern, so this is the one side. And this is the other. It is a tonal gray, so you can see it's not a solid gray color. Now, a little bit about what you're going to see. In all the time that I have been weaving, I have never once dropped the boat shuttle onto the floor, except when you're filming. So there is a little weaving humor in there. You will see me demonstrating the boat shuttle and how it's used, throwing it through the loom, not catching it on the other side and it falling on the floor. Like I said, never done that before, except when it's on film. So I hope you enjoy this final segment of the series, and thanks again for watching. I am at the front of the loom, and you can see my weaving stops here. Now I have about 2 inches between here and the beater bar, but in all honesty, I cannot fit my shuttle through here without it really rubbing against here. So I'm going to consider it done at this point. Now let me show you what the back looks like. This is the roller bar here that had the reserve on it, and you can see it's all the way at the end. And so I just have the end pieces going across, which are these here. Now, what I'm going to be doing is cutting. I'm going to be cutting one of these sections at a time and then tying them off. So we're going to get started with that. So I'm going to cut this first bundle, and you can see I had it knotted together in the back. I'm just going to clip that and set it aside. And now I'm going to pull these threads right here all the way through to the front, and then I'm going to begin tying them off. So you can see I pulled them all the way through, and now I'm just going to divide them by 2s, and I'm just going to double knot them. I don't know that everybody does it this way. This is just the way that I do it. So I'll set those to the side, and I'll tie these 2 off. I am leaving this a little long in case I want to use this as fringe, otherwise it's going to be trimmed. You don't want to tie this too tight or you're going to like pucker it. I was working from the side and it's working better for me to do this from the front. I'm probably going to put 3 knots into it just so they don't slip. I've completely tied off this first section here, as you can see. And now I'm going to, I think, tie them as a bundle. Because this was done in a herringbone, it's not one over the other, so there's some gaps where stitches actually are missed. And I don't want any of this to unravel. So there it is. This is the first section. I'm going to repeat this all the way across here. So I'll slide this so you can see it. So I'm going to go all the way across here. I won't bore you with that part of that. I will come back and show once it's all tied off and then how we're going to do the other side of this. Okay, I have finished tying off all of this section. You can see it here. Now, I did not tie them in clusters how I was going to, because I got to thinking if, the clusters look cute and everything. They look like little tassels. If this turns out to be a scarf, then I will do that all the way across. However, when I warped my loom, warping is running this direction. It's the lengthwise. It runs from the front to the back, and you weave you weave and that is your weft. So when I warped my loom, which is dressing it or putting it through all of the beater bars and everything, I estimated about 8 feet. However, from where I finished weaving along here to the back where it was tied, I lost about 1 foot. And I'm also going to lose about 1 foot in the front. So now I'm going to uncrank the front here. And I'm going to move the camera around so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to uncrank it and we're going to measure it and see what I've got. And that will determine whether this is going to be a scarf or an infinity scarf. So let me get the camera repositioned. I'm going to hold the camera for this portion so you can really see what's going on. Okay, here's where I've tied it off. And this is where the woven fabric has been cranked onto. So let's now start uncranking it, and we will see how much we have. Okay, now you see the front here. This green will come off. The green is like a foundation. When you first begin weaving, where you're up against this bar right here, it's very hard to get a straight line and it can tend to be a little wavy, as you can see right in here. This was my front beginning section. So you can see it takes a few rows to get an established pattern, but you can't really see the herringbone pattern because you got 2 contrasting colors. You can't see it as much in the gray as it shows up in the scrap yarn, which was my green. This will all get pulled out. The green will come out. There it is tied onto the front roller bar. So I'm going to untie all this, the same as I did in the back, and then we're going to measure it and we're going to see what we've got. I can already tell that this is not going to be long enough for a scarf. It is going to be an infinity scarf, but let me show you the full length. Here is the one side. This was the back, and you can see I have the long fringe on this side, which is what I will use to actually seam the sides up here. But it goes across to here, over to this side. This was at the front, and the fringe on this side is not quite as long. It's about 4 inches. So let's measure and see how long this really is. It is 51 inches. Which, as you can see, is nowhere near long enough to wrap around my neck. So what I will do is I will take the 2 ends and I will sew them together and weave these ends in for the fringe at the same time, and I will use the longer fringe as the fiber to do the actual seaming with. So stick around for a little bit. I will be right back with this seamed up so you can see what it turned out like. Okay, now I wanted to show you how I have finished this off. This is how it looks where the seam is on the back. You can see it right here. This is the right side. And I'll be honest, I'm not real crazy about how it finished off. Because of the fringing and things, I might go back and sew this later because I just feel like it looks a little clumsy, especially on the inside, because I had all that fringe that had to be incorporated into the seam right in here. It's kind of bulky, so I'm not real crazy about how this part turned out. So like I said, I might just turn around and run it on a sewing machine, because one of the differences with doing weaving where you're just going under and over, it's not a problem with catching threads at the very end and binding them off. However, if the herringbone, the only once every 4th strand of yarn is actually being caught on each pass of the shuttle. So when you go to bind it off, you've got 1 that's going to grab and 3 that don't. So I'm thinking a sewing machine might be a better option for this one. So, but it is really soft and I really like it. So it'll get some use. So thank you for watching this series. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and check out my Saturday podcasts as well. Thanks again.